I was alone in the youth room of my church. Or at least, it was my church. And it seemed like I'd wear a hole in the floor from fearing the worst. I was about to meet with the elders, which should not have been a big deal. But this meeting followed a reality that was still unreal. A few days ago, these men had let go of my dad, and they were to decide if I'd finish the school year as planned with the youth group I'd spent a year trying to expand. By God's grace, I went to that meeting and they honored my request, and for their compassion, I was thankful and blessed. But many have asked how I could even go to that meeting when it was such a painful reminder of all the things I was losing. Many would choose to turn the other way, removing reminders of their lost dreams or pain. But I chose to face it all head on instead of choosing to ignore. It's doing something I've learned to call running toward the roar. Instead of turning away, you run toward the lost dreams or pain. It helps bring about healing or hope through the difficulties and change. There is so much I learned because of what I chose to face, and the first was about how to show forgiveness and grace. When we know we've been wronged, we tend to want to lash out, announcing how we've been wronged until there's nothing left to spout. We get bitter from our anger and demand justice for our peace. But when we stop, we realize this is not how we should think. Jesus asks us to forgive, no matter how great or deep the offense. That means we have to learn to let go of the anger or resent. It doesn't mean you pardon what's been done, or that things will be the same, but it means you move forward by showing grace in Jesus' name. For Jesus showed grace that none of us deserved by dying on the cross of shame. He made his salvation an open invitation to change our eternal destination. We don't get to pick who receives this gift of God, and neither should we only forgive when it's easy to love. Although I didn't feel like it, I told those men, I am choosing to forgive you, because I know the blood that Jesus shed covers my mistakes and theirs too. Although it wasn't easy, I will never regret my decision to forgive, for I know that it is by the same wounds that we have all been healed. Another thing I learned is that God can use our pain for our spiritual gain. In my case, it was a new occupation from the one I used to proclaim. Before this all went down, I wanted to be in music ministry, using my voice to honor the Lord within the church community. Yet even with a degree, I was prevented from pursuing this calling, even while I prayed to the Lord to fulfill my ministry longings. All the while I worked with youth, but never considered it an option to work with youth as an occupation. But when my youth ministry almost came to an end, I began to realize that God had spent years preparing my heart to pour into students' lives. I didn't realize how much I'd been in training until I started to add it up. All the experiences I had, lessons I taught, and students I loved. This caused a passion to burn inside my heart, and even after that ministry ended, it didn't stop. I pursued some opportunities that didn't work out, but even in my most difficult days, I didn't doubt, and they gave me experiences I couldn't do without. Although for you it might not be the same, I know God can use your pain to change your life, give you direction, and help you heal in His name. This is not the method I imagine God would use, but I know He did for me because His promises are true. The last thing I gained was the support of loyal friends, the kind of friends who would stand by your side through thick and thin. Some of these friends were there when I least expected them to be, but others came forward who always stood by me. When nothing made sense, they were there to listen. When the pain was great, their support was a given. When I didn't know what to do, no prayer request was too small. When I was scared or unsure, they encouraged me through it all. This is exactly what a friend is supposed to do, to be there no matter what their friend is going through. It is a mirror of the loyalty and love of Jesus Christ, the one who empathizes with our pain through His sacrifice. Through the darkest of our struggles, we can know we are not alone, for Jesus takes our pain upon Himself and makes it His own. God often blesses us with friends to remind us of this truth. That's what He did for me, and I hope He does for you. All of this happened because I chose not to hide from the situation that magnified what I was feeling inside. I found a strength I didn't know I had when it didn't make sense, and a dream I know I never would have found unless I stepped out in faith to do what some said was impossible to do. And I know because I did, my faith and trust in God grew. I know it won't be easy, but it will help get your victory won. And that may be what God will use to mold you into the image of His Son. How God has brought me to where I am isn't something I can ignore. And that's why we all have to learn to run toward the roar.